President Akufo-Addo reacts to Supreme Court's decision on voting rights of deputy speakers in Parliament.
Attorney General opposes grant of bill to fix the country convener, Mr. Oliver Barker-Vormawor, for not collaborating with investigators.
Forest reserves threatened by herdsmen in Bono region.
And peace talks between foreign ministers of Ukraine and Russia end without any progress towards a ceasefire.
Good evening, this is News Hour right here on GTV and GBC News. My name is Jonathan Thompson.
And I am Samuela Korte. Jonathan in Team Daku translates the news into sign language.
And now let's take the news in detail. President Akufo-Addo says Supreme Court's decision on the voting rights of deputy speakers in Parliament cannot amount to judicial interference in the work of the legislature. For the president, the suggestion that Parliament is beyond the scrutiny of the apex court implies that Parliament is a law unto itself. These were President Akufo-Addo's comments in an interview with the media in Dubai, where he's attending the Dubai 2020 Expo.
The noise that was generated on this, at the time I was extremely surprised, because as far as I can see it, and I think the Supreme Court has confirmed it, the matters involved in this thing are open and shut. They're black and white. There can be no dispute about the issues that the gentleman took to the Supreme Court. It is there for anybody who wants to see. In Articles 102, Articles 104 of the Constitution makes it absolutely clear in black and white that the deputy speakers, I'm not speaking of the speaker, I mean the deputy speakers, when they're presiding, have the right to participate in the vote of the Parliament. The whole structure of the Constitution, and indeed, and I believe that was being part of the reasoning of the court, all the legislatures of the world where the presiding person is a member of the legislature, like our deputy speakers are, like the Speaker of the House of Representatives in the United States, or the President pro tem of the Senate in the United States, or the Speaker of the British Parliament. All of those have the right to speak because they are members of the Assembly. Our Speaker is expressly not a member of the Assembly. That's why he doesn't have the right to vote. In fact, he really ought not even to participate in the deliberations of the House. He's a referee, making sure that the debate is conducted properly and that the rules of procedure, the orders of the House are complied with. That's his role. But he ought, strictly speaking, not to be part of the proceedings of the House. That is not the case with the deputy speakers. And that matter is transparent on the face of our Constitution. Indeed, even the presiding members of our district assemblies, they have the right to vote. Look at the district assembly law, because they are members of the assembly. And once you are a member of the assembly, you're representing certain constituencies. If you are denied the right to vote, it will mean it is tantamount to denying the right of the people you represent to have a say in the decision of the assembly. That would not be right. So I couldn't understand what all of this furore and controversy that was artificially generated. We're being told that the decision of the court amounts to judicial interference in the work of Parliament. I'm not quite sure that the people who are saying this have actually taken the time to read the Constitution of our country.
The Supreme Court on Wednesday held that a Deputy Speaker of Parliament or any person presiding in the absence of the Speaker is entitled to be counted for the purpose of forming a quorum for decision-making. A 7-member panel of the Apex Court presided over by Justice Jones Doche also held that a Deputy Speaker of Parliament or any person presiding in the absence of the Speaker is entitled to cast a vote on parliamentary proceedings. However, many have criticized this decision, describing it as an unfortunate interpretation for convenience that sets a dangerous precedent of judicial interference in parliamentary procedure for the future. Earlier, we gleaned the thoughts of a private legal practitioner, Mr. Benjamin Antiedu, and the Executive Director of the African Center for Parliamentary Affairs, Dr. Rashid Rahman, on the subject.
The concern here is that the Supreme Court's construction is to the effect that even though a Deputy Speaker cannot count towards quorum for Parliament to start sitting, he can be counted as part of the quorum number for decision making and even vote. So it creates some kind of internal inconsistency between the relevant provisions of the Constitution. Here we're talking about Article 102 and 104. So that is where the first concern is. Then the second one is that, the Supreme Court coming to this conclusion had even declared unconstitutional Order 109(3) of the Standing Orders of Parliament. Parliament, pursuant to Article 110, has enacted standing orders to regulate its procedures and to enable it to discharge its constitutional duties. And so, making this, there's superior freedom of Parliament in making procedures to regulate its proceedings. Parliament has made regulation respecting the right of a Deputy Speaker who is presiding over the proceedings of Parliament, that when you are presiding over the proceedings of Parliament as a Deputy Speaker, you lose your votes. That is what Parliament has decided. And the Constitution is silent on that. So to say that that provision sits in contravention with the constitutional provision is somehow difficult to accept. But that's my personal view. A decision of the court, and particularly the Supreme Court, is final and effective and binding on all persons, except maybe when it's overturned on a review.
We are all here to perhaps analyze this properly and try to understand what it exactly means. Perhaps it's too early to say the independence has been undermined, but at least one can say we are seeing the court, the judiciary getting into the space of Parliament. At least we can say that now based on this ruling.
The matter discussed on the Breakfast Show on GTV, the law professor Justice Abdullahi, who contested the Deputy Speaker's decision to count himself as forming a quorum for a vote on the budget, suggested that Deputy Speakers should not be members of Parliament but be elected the same way Speakers of Parliament are elected. He urged legislators to put national interest first, not emotional or partisan interest.
Portions of the decision that seeks to make a referee, being the speaker, also a player having the right to vote, among other things. But it's the reason why I disagree a bit with that, because it takes away the neutrality and the impartiality of that person presiding from the entire discussion. And remember, nation building takes a lot of, it's a complex thing, and it requires people who are patriot, people who are non-partisan in a way. You may be partisan, but still play the role of a patriot and a citizen. And so I'm of the strongest opinion, for instance, that the same way that we get the speaker elected is the same way we should have the deputies also elected. They shouldn't be members of parliament. That way we can get the best out of them without having to limit their authority with partisan interest. What we have presently is in fact, is the reason why we are in this particular situation. Because if these deputies were coming from outside of parliament, we wouldn't be saddled with these difficulties.
Attorney General Mr. Godfrey Yeboah-Dame has opposed the grant of bill to fix the country convener, Mr. Oliver Barker-Vormawor, at the Tema High Court on Thursday, March 10, 2022. The Attorney General said Mr. Barker-Vormawor has so far failed to cooperate with police investigations and also has no fixed place of abode, which makes him a flight risk. He is facing the charges of treason felony over alleged coup comments he is alleged to have made.
In an affidavit opposing the bail application filed by Mr. Oliver Barker-Vormawor, investigators are having a difficult time with the Fix the Country convener because he has refused to carry out a court order for him to grant the police access to his mobile phone. A search warrant is also said to have been granted police investigators to visit the residence of Mr. Barker-Vormawor. According to the AG, he has failed to show the police any fixed place of abode within Ghana where he resides. The AG, in his argument, said that having regard to the nature of the offence and the punishment which conviction will entail, the applicant, a person with no fixed place of abode in Ghana, is not likely to appear to stand trial if granted bail. The application for bail was to be heard on Thursday, March 10, 2022, but was adjourned as lawyers for Mr. Oliver Barker-Vormawor said they had just received the affidavit in opposition filed by the AG. Mr. Barker-Vormawor was on Wednesday, March 9, 2022, rushed to the hospital after he was reported sick. He has been on remand since February 11, 2022, when he was arrested at the Kotoka International Airport. The case will be heard on Monday, March 14, 2022. Meanwhile, the substantive matter before the Circuit Court in Ashaiman will be heard on March 15, 2022.
Now, away from that, 100,000 Ghana cedis is seed money to support girls in Apiati through the science, technology, engineering, and mathematics STEM education. And it is ready. Stanbic Bank Ghana donated the amount out of the 200,000 Ghana cedis presented to the committee of the Apiati Support Fund.
Rebuilding Apiati demands enough resources and the collective efforts on all fronts to make the people self-reliant. The 100,000 cedi STEM fund is to ensure that a girl child in Apiati gets another chance to quality education in science, technology, engineering and mathematics, with all barriers broken to flourish and explore. Stanbic Bank Ghana themed the project Breaking the Bias.
What happened? Basically, if you trace it back and you look back, you are thinking there could be solutions in science. And there are opportunities that we can create for science, primarily for girls. And so the other 100,000 we are using as a seed fund for a STEM for Girls project in the community.
The chairperson for the Apiati Support Fund, Madam Joyce Ayi, extended appreciation to Stanbic Bank for choosing to invest in STEM education to give the girl child a sound footing in future.
We do know that one of the biases is that if you're a girl, you won't understand science, which is far from the truth. So when there's a deliberate and intentional effort to get girls to be interested in an area of study that affects everyday life.
The additional 100,000 cedis is to shore up monies for the Apiati Support Fund. Other committee members similarly expressed their heartfelt thanks to the bank, especially for their contribution to the Apiati people.
The Sunyani manager of the Forestry Commission, Mr. Francis Brobe, has called for urgent action to save 5 forest reserves in the Sunyani Forest District, which are being destroyed by herdsmen and their cattle. The Omanhene of Brekum, the Celebrate Dr. Amankoma Dewo, has also addressed a news conference calling for quick action to save the said forest, a portion of which falls within the Brekum traditional area.
5 political districts, Sunyani and Sunyani West, Brekum and Brekum West, Tyne, Wenchi and Banda. These areas have 7 forest reserves, 5 of which have been taken over by herdsmen and their cattle. Those 5 areas include Tyne 1 and 2, Soso, Nsemure and Yaya. Only Esukese and Amama forest reserves are free from cattle devastation. The Forestry Commission is consequently calling for urgent action to stop what it describes as wanton destruction of reforestation efforts in the forest reserves by cattle. Talking to GBC News at the Soso Forest Reserve in the Wenchi municipality, the Sunyani District Manager of the Forestry Commission, Mr. Francis Brobe, said the activities of the herdsmen threaten investment in reforestation. Under the Tonja system of forest development, farmers cultivate crops alongside trees within forest reserves and own 40% of the trees and all the farm produce. This has been ongoing since early 2000, but now the cattle are destroying their crops. The news team witnessed a meeting between some Tonja farmers and a team from the Forestry Commission at Tromeso and Inshiayim. The farmers pleaded for action to stop the herdsmen who are destroying their livelihoods.
I'm a portion maybe at one in a free plot no more. Echo. It no question me, some more Panama said, and one hair, move up on more than a munya. Yes, Lapanya said, yes, you better see it. Nayapam and one and son maba.
A sizable portion of the Tyne 2 Forest Reserve is within the Brekum traditional area. At a news conference organized at the Brekum Palace, the Omanhene of Brekum, Dasibre Dr. Amankoma Dewo, said the time has come for a sustainable solution to destruction of crops and forest reserves by marauding cattle.
Enema ekoso Tyne 2 hono titru forestry for Mamunim from Ghana government amomo asase a wo mu dua nnua wo so de no tunchen a ye wo akuafo pia wamu wo mfuo wo ho ne ekwaso no se nantwie omukọ nkrofo afuo mu kọwe niema wo maduadua no na mpo forestry ade form Ghana for nnua omudua no eno so omukọwe omusẹ no.
In Ghana, like other African societies, it is arguable that chiefs are not to work to earn a living. The economic life is expected to be taken care of by the community or material heritage associated with the stool. However, modernity, materialism, and corruption have led to a situation compelling some chiefs to job search. Now, the question is, how can chiefs help preserve our culture when they juggle their traditional duties and other jobs? At GBC's launch of Heritage Month 2022, our news team posed this question to the Bubuashi Manche. He says it behoves every community to take care of their chiefs and queen mothers.
Royalty in any part of the world is treated with veneration. Ghana's royalty is no exception. The chiefs and queen mothers are symbols of authority and custodians of our culture. So important is their role in society that they are accorded a special respect with servants at their beck and call. Traditionally, our chiefs don't wipe their own sweat. It is the duty of servants. Their speeches are conveyed by linguists. So sacred is the chieftaincy institution that even a wrongdoer who is being pursued cannot be arrested once that individual enters a chief's palace. The Queen Mother is regarded as a paragon of womanhood. She usually plays the role of counseling and molding girls and young women into what a standard African woman should be. For the sanctity of their roles and other reasons, chiefs are not expected to work like any ordinary person. This explains why some chiefs who are experts in certain professional fields abandon their jobs as soon as they are installed as traditional rulers. Dabubia Shimanche, Nick Pachakoli, says even if a chief has to work in an office at all, he must be the head of the organization and not a subordinate or serve under anybody. Otherwise, he will not be accorded the needed respect. He says members of the traditional area ought to take care of their chief. Some chiefs may be compelled to work when the stool is financially dry or their communities are not taking care of them.
The New Patriotic Party, NPP, has announced the dates for the next phase of the party's internal elections. The date for picking nomination forms for the district coordinators' elections is Monday, 14th March to Tuesday, 15th March 2022. Nomination forms for the election has been uploaded on the party's website for easy access. Addressing the media at a news conference in Accra, the General Secretary of the NPP, Mr. John Boadu, said the party had observed with concern and revulsion some verbal attacks and physical confrontations that characterized the polling station executive election in some constituencies a few weeks ago. Mr. John Boadu indicated that the party might order a rerun of the said election in the affected constituencies.
Area coordinators elections shall be held from 18th of March to 20th of March 2022. At this phase of the internal elections, the party, in order to increase access to nominations, has resolved to upload the forms for the electoral area coordinators elections on the party's website for interested members to download for free. Forms can be downloaded through the link newpatrioticparty.org/MPP-form. So you go to our website. When you go to where the forms are available for download. But in addition to that, we are sending 5 hard copies per electoral area to the polling station elections committee. As a disciplined and law-abiding political tradition, we expect all our members to use the party's laid down grievances and dispute resolution procedures to seek amicable resolutions to their grievances, rather than resorting to such unorthodox means which only brings embarrassment to all of us. Beyond the dispute and grievances procedure enshrined in Article 4 of the party's constitution, the party, in issuing the rules and regulations for the conduct of the polling station elections, incorporated detailed and comprehensive redress mechanisms for aggrieved party members. The party provided in the rules and regulations that no interested party member should be denied access to the purchase of nomination forms by the polling station elections committee. and where same is denied, in gross violation of this express rule, that aggrieved member may, through a petition, purchase nomination form at the regional or national secretariat of the party.
The National Media Commission on Thursday inaugurated a 9-member board of directors for the New Times Corporation. The new team was tasked to make staff welfare and provision of facilities for the business a priority.
Do in the name of the Almighty God. Swear that.
Representing independent and diverse perspectives, the new team will continue with the role of ensuring the company's success and security. The NMC chairman swore in the 9-member team for the board of the New Times Corporation. It has as its chairman Dr. Kweku Roxon. Mr. Yaobuedu Ayebuafo said the corporation's new team should focus on generating resources to ensure the sustainability and shared vision to improve on the organization's fortunes.
It's only when you work as a team that you can move forward. Otherwise, if any one of you thinks that he has better ideas than the other, but you will not bring it at discussions and only make sure that the person falters, then they will go and criticize. You will always be criticizing. If you know what to do and you can help so that we move forward rather than wait until we had failed, then you begin to find out why we failed. When we knew that we were going to fail, because the thing that will have encouraged and motivated us to do the right things, you denied us at the time that we needed it.
The new board chair, Dr. Kweku Roxon, assured the NMC that the new board will continue to engage stakeholders and support the corporation in terms of finances to help improve on its work. Other board members are Professor Kofi Kwashiga, Mrs. Victoria Nachu, Mr. Donald Jura, Professor Kwesi Opokwamankwa, Mr. Kofi Mara, Mr. Samuel Akwesi Safo, Mrs. Doris Adabasu Kuonu, and Mr. Martin Edu Owusu.
You're live on News Hour right here on GTV and on GBC News. We'll take a quick break. Stay with us.
Good evening, welcome to Business, brought to you by Quick Credits and MTN. My name is Morris Ogbete. In our very first story, Freedom Coin has not been given approval to operate in Ghana, says the Bank of Ghana. To this end, the general public is being urged to exercise caution in respect of cryptocurrency transactions. In a statement, the Bank of Ghana indicated that it has come to its attention that there is an impending launch of a cryptocurrency named Freedom Coin. The public is hereby cautioned that neither this cryptocurrency nor the promoting company has approval from the Bank of Ghana to operate in the banking and payment sector. The bank reiterated that cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin are not regulated under any laws in Ghana and therefore not backed by any guarantees or safeguards. It also directed all licensed institutions, including banks, specialized deposit-taking institutions, dedicated electronic money issuers, and payment service providers to refrain from facilitating cryptocurrency transactions via their platforms or agent outlets. And also in business, by 1st of April 2022, anyone outside Ghana doing online business with people in the country but have not registered on the GRA non-resident e-commerce portal will not be able to operate digitally. The Commissioner General of the Ghana Revenue Authority, Mr. Amishadai Owusu Amwa, made this known during the launch of the e-commerce portal in Accra.
In the 2022 budget, the Ghana Revenue Authority was tasked to mobilize 2.7 billion Ghana cedis from the digital economy, which embodies e-commerce, digital services, and online gaming and betting. According to the Ghana Revenue Authority, the Value Added Tax Act 2013 makes provisions for the levying of e-commerce and digital services. With that as its backbone, the Ghana Revenue Authority has joined hands with several local and foreign partners to launch the non-resident e-commerce portal. The portal is to help the Ghana Revenue Authority rake in more revenue from the digital space through taxes. The head of trade and economics at the Foreign and Commonwealth Development Office, Mr. Colin Sykes, said they would support government to increase its revenue from the e-commerce platforms.
We've recently started the next phase of our Ghana revenue programme, and we're also supporting the GRA through Her Majesty's Revenue and Customs, which is the UK's revenue authority. The focus of that programme is supporting the GRA priorities around tax compliance, including on digital, which we're talking about today, around data, around enforcement and improving taxpayer services.
The Commissioner General of the Ghana Revenue Authority, Mr. Amishadai Owusu Amwa, said a portal would help the GRA ensure tax compliance.
The system has an inbuilt, and so eventually we haven't set the deadline where we will now start enforcing. But when we come to start enforcing, there's a mechanism that ensures that, for example, if you are using, you know that if you are paying money from here, outside, it has to go through our financial system and go through the central bank before it goes. And so they have a number of compliant things that each of those people who generate money from here are supposed to comply. So this will become part of those compliant things. And therefore, if you are compliant, then you can continue trading. If you are not compliant, you cannot continue trading from Ghana.
The total value of e-commerce in Africa reached $16.5 billion in 2017 and is expected to increase to $29 billion by 2022. In the last decade, business activities within the digital space in Ghana has been rising with the advent of platforms such as OLX, Gigi, Jumia and Tonaton.
Also in business, the Pro-Vice Chancellor of the University of Ghana in charge of research, innovation and development, Professor Felix Asante, has urged the Private Enterprises Federation to identify farm produce aggregators who will serve a link between local farmers and the export market. Professor Asante's advice comes as PEF reviews its efforts at equipping businesses to take advantage of the AFCFTA.
The type of agriculture going on in the country is really small and medium scale. So if somebody produces tomatoes As much as the person wants to export, it's just a small in the big export market. So the question is, how do we encourage the tomato producer or even a processed commodity? And this is where I expect that PEP should be able to identify those markets, identify the various chains that farmer or business needs to be connected to till it gets to Accra. And this I expect to be played by an aggregator. So an aggregator who sets the standards for what the export market demands, an aggregator who sets the time that the produce should be ready, aggregator who will be responsible for making sure that the bureaucracies in the export and other things are done. Till we do that, it will be very difficult for us to take advantage of the Continental Free Trade Agreement because of the type of agriculture, the type of businesses that we have. I mean, even if when you look at the manufacturing part, just take any handicraft. We know in Northern Ghana there is a lot of handicraft. Do you expect that small businessman to come through Accra and go and export? That person doesn't know the market. So we need an aggregator who identify all the producers of the handicraft, set standards in terms of the weaving standards and what the export market demands, pull it together and become the face of that handicraft export in the country. And I think once we do that, we can take advantage of the African Continental Free Trade.
We talk about the cedi now because the Ghana Union of Traders Association has called on the government to fast-track plans to trade in the Chinese yuan instead of the US dollar. According to Guta, the move to trade in the Chinese currency will help ease pressure on the cedi, which has been falling in the last couple of months. Gatefik assumes that what Guta meant in the economic and international trade sense was a bilateral swap agreement BSA. However, this call at this particular period is not feasible and cannot apply to Ghana. In 2008, the People's Bank of China renewed some BSAs with some 19 central banks, including those of both emerging. This agreement's renewal in 2008 amounted to more than $300 billion US. Some of the main objectives then, China, were to promote the use of the yuan in trade and investment. It is very important to note that BSAs in this regard are very different from the traditional use as a concessional arrangement to provide liquidity during financial crisis. In 2015, the People's Bank of China had signed a bilateral currency swap agreement with the South African Reserve Bank worth 30 billion yuan. The purpose was defeated in the long run. The winner has still been the US dollar. Egypt has also tried the same and has amounted to nothing. The issue of US dollar goes beyond just import and export. The economic determinant factors go beyond import and export. Gatefik added that Africa's largest economy, Nigeria, has in the past and present signed the same agreement with China with the same purpose as Guta's call. However, the 2018 agreement between China and Nigeria to swap up to 15 billion yuan against over 700 billion naira did not yield the desired result. The winner has again been the US dollar. That was business brought to you by Quick Credits and MTN. The news will continue after this break. Stay with us.
Good evening and welcome to the Energy segment on News Hour. My name is Mabel Anna. The effect of the hikes in fuel prices is now being felt across the board in the economy. Players in the telecommunications industry say the frequent increase in prices at the pump is taking a toll on them. Speaking to GBC News, the Chief Executive of the Ghana Chamber of Telecommunications, Dr. Kenashibe, said most of the telecommunications towers operate on diesel, especially those in the rural areas. And this, Dr. Ashibe says, is putting pressure on their margins.
Fact that, a lot of our the tower companies run, the towers run on diesel because you might not have electricity in those areas. And then, the high cost of fuel definitely is going to impact the cost of running our business. And generally everything, the prices of everything are going on. And once the CD also depreciates, because apart from your diesel fuel that you buy, apart from your staff that you pay, all the inputs that go into telecommunication, the capital equipment, and then even some of the services that you buy, softwares, licenses, they are all in Forex. So as the CD depreciates, then the cost of doing business, for the telecommunication industry also goes up.
To some more stories, Tullow Oil says its Jubilee oil field in Ghana could produce 100,000 barrels of oil equivalent per day and a 10-field 50,000 barrels of oil per day by 2025 under current spending plans. Tullow will spend most of its $350 million investment program this year in Ghana.
Tullow holds a 35.5% stake in Jubilee and 47.2% in TEN. The company reported 2021 free cash flow of $245 million, about 43% down from the previous year. Oil prices have soared in recent months, with current benchmark figure around $130 a barrel, but Tullow hedges most of its output with price floors and ceilings to shield against price volatility. In 2021, it lost out on $153 million in revenue due to hedges. Tullow had a market capitalization of around $1.2 billion and net debt of $2.1 billion. Chief Financial Officer Les Wood said some of its hedged price caps were as high as $95 a barrel, and if it manages to keep this level for the whole year, its free cash flow this year could hit $200. Tullow's 2022 cash flow was boosted by $500 million sale of its stake in Ugandan onshore oil fields to Total Energies.
And that's all for the energy segment. My name is Mabel Anang.
Time now for health, brought to you by Lufa, Tobago's premium gift to Africa. Female genital schistosomiasis, FGS, continue to infect women and girls globally, and to help minimize the trend, the first ever training of FGS has taken place in Accra to create the awareness and train health professionals on improving the prevention, diagnosis and treatment of the disease.
The training on female genital schistosomiasis is part of the FGS Accelerating Skill Together Fast package project. More than 25 healthcare professionals were trained on the prevention, diagnosis and treatment of FGS. The director of the Institute of Health Research of the University of Health and Allied Sciences, Professor Margaret Japon, said FGS should be integrated as part of advocacy, awareness raising and health promotion activities.
The good thing about what we are doing here is that we have a core group of people who have gone through different levels of training, and now we are training them to be trainers. So hopefully as they go about their outreach, as they go about their home visits, they'll be able to talk about it as a problem, which is a consequence of schistosomiasis.
Let's share the knowledge we acquire with others, because the more of us know about FGS, the better it will be for all of us.
A senior research fellow at the WHO Collaborating Center for Knowledge Translation, Technology Assessment for Health Equity, and an assistant professor at the University of Ottawa, Dr. Alison Krentel, called for a collaborative community efforts by the local governments and administration in the fight against FGS.
If you're in the community, you're a community leader, you're a pastor or an imam, you can create awareness within your community about the risks of schistosomiasis, the risks of contact with freshwater bodies and the risk for infection, and also creating awareness around the availability of treatment.
The SME training is the final stage in a series of trainings conducted as part of the FAST package. There was identification of core competencies, online training, face-to-face training, and an impact accelerator. The female genital schistosomiasis training program is scheduled to take place in Madagascar sometime this year.
To you by Lufa, Tobago's premium gift to Africa. Now hand you over to Jonathan for more stories.
Thank you, Samuel. Now, on Thursday, Israel's ambassador to Ghana, Madam Shlomit Sufa, interacted with management of the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation, GBC, on how the public service broadcaster operates. Ghana is her fourth post abroad, and she hopes to collaborate with GBC to promote Ghanaian culture and values, and also perform her duty with the government to deepen bilateral relations between Ghana and Israel. Here's Ofoiwa Dako's report.
Ghana and Israel have had long-standing relations which dates back to the 1950s. To rekindle the ties in order to strengthen economic cooperation as well as promote cultural diversity, a delegation led by Israel's ambassador to Ghana, Shlomit Sufa, has met with the management of the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation.
I'm happy to be here and to present myself to you and to say that we are open for business. To quote your president, but in a different way, we are open for business, meaning that the embassy is interested in interaction with media, with GBC.
In pursuance of GBC's transformation drive and Ghana as a whole, issues discussed included deepening collaborations between GBC and Israeli partners in Ghana and Israeli innovation and solutions to help transform various sectors, including the media landscape and agriculture.
On many fronts, you have braved the odds, and for those, we have to benefit from this relationship, and we are very grateful. Those of us who have little opportunity to go there cannot have that much influence if we get it through you.
When it comes to agric, you are one of the top countries so far as agriculture is concerned. And as my colleague said, our reporters will be knocking on your doors, and one area I'm sure we would like to learn from you is in the area of agriculture.
According to the Director General of GBC, Professor Amir Halson, one of the focus areas of GBC is capacity building of its staff and investment in the effectiveness and future sustainability of the corporation.
We look forward to during your duty tour, we pray that we will have the opportunity to be able to establish relationships with other media organizations, especially your public service broadcaster in Israel, to see whether we can share experiences, to see how we can learn from each other. We are also open to content sharing.
With technology advancing at breakneck speed, it is a hope of the management of GBC to work together with Israel to enable GBC to be resilient in the increasingly competitive media environment. For GBC News, Ofeyiwa Dakon reporting.